I always think the first infrastructure of the space economy isn't necessarily a launch pad or a rocket. It's an
Yep.
educated, curious, scientifically literate human being. And if we are not out there, like this has been my soapbox, and Veronica can tell you about it. It's like, and she many times has agreed with me. It's space education isn't just something cute. Now, again, present company excluded. I have had a couple of people along the way go, "It's really cute what you do." No, it isn't. It is necessary. Then I've had other people say, "Are you always like this?" And I'm like, "Pretty much." Because it's like energy is never destroyed, it's only transferred. And if you're working with kids, you got to meet them with like such overwhelming, like speed of light energy that is like, wait a minute, what's happening? Is this science or is this an adventure? That's what one of the things that I love about physicist Brian Greene. He wrote a story years ago, Put a Little Science in Your Life. And apparently he had gotten a letter from, I believe it was an enlisted person. And this person wrote and said, "Hey, if you had taught science when I was a kid, I would have been a scientist." And just, you always made it, you always make it so interesting. And so in it, he writes, we must tell and communicate science in such a way that it is the grandest adventure story ever. And for me, that was the attraction for using space as the great invitation for how we get kids involved in STEM. Because I mean, it's like, I think it was in 2023, there were 373,000 like private sector space economy or employed. Like, I mean, that's kind of like amazing that 373,000 people are involved in just private sector space.
Yeah, huge.
And so when we've had this jump from 2014, there were 29 million jobs in STEM. Now, like jump to 2024, there's 37 million. So when we think about this jump to this $1 trillion, $2 trillion endeavor that we're looking at in the next several decades, it's like those fourth, fifth, sixth graders are going to be those people that we need driving the infrastructure. And one of the other things that I always say is like when kids go, I don't want you just to all be astronauts. I mean, if you get to space, you're an astronaut. It's like, that's okay. But we need welders, we need plumbers, we need people thinking about who owns it. And one of the things that we started doing when I was at Explore Mars is that we started, as we did our Mars Innovation Challenge, we kind of expanded it just from like being kind of a space settlement design competition to who owns it. Like, how do we have a passport for it? If you find helium-3, if you find the water ice, all of these things are great in theory, but then it's like, we start thinking about where's the economy? I mean, you know what I mean? It's like science tells us it's there, but it's like, where's that economy? Oh, thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah. Since we're here.
There's a shameless plug, everybody. This book was kind of curated by the CEO of Explore Mars, Chris Carberry, and fellow board of directors member Rick Zucker. They gratefully allowed me to write a chapter called A Martian Education, Martians in Mind, Designing Educational Theory for the Red Planet. And basically, I just keep asking a lot of hypothetical questions, because think about this. If it's like, if you are a kid on Mars, and again, we could talk about the ethics of however that could look someday, you're going to have to know things like pretty quickly. All of a sudden, is your carbon dioxide, what's that CO2 meter doing, et cetera. And you're going to have to learn how to fix it really quickly. Or what if you fail to do one of your chores or your jobs and it grandly impacts like the whole entire ecosystem? And so what if we flipped kind of like how we teach on Earth and flipped it to that kind of Martian thing, and we started teaching kids to think critically in a time of uncertainty? Can you problem solve? Because the scarcity of resources will sometimes make you super agile in your thought processing. And so these are the things that I want kids to do. And oftentimes I'll get asked like, well, Janet, are you dumbing it down? And I'm like, No, I am not dumbing it down. However, it's like a lot of times too, if it's like a bunch of 4th graders, I will purposefully throw out some like $12 words because I go, if this is your first experience with it, the next time that you hear ISRU or in situ resource utilization, you're going to have have had an experience with it. Um, but I it's like we were talking about China and the space race, and that's one of the things that I really challenged kids in my camps this summer. It's like with the gorgeous crew of Artemis 2. So they're inspiring. Like I still wish those guys were in space. It was just like they were so incredible. But I said, China's got a lander. And isn't it curious that it looks a lot like Apollo Legacy lander? And
Look like a lot.
right, and the testing in the microgravity facility, wow, it looks a lot like legacy Apollo stuff. And when I tell them that it's like, hey, we've got prototypes, but we don't have a lander, we've not tested them. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, we got to get after it. And so that to me also is the challenge out there for the students. But I think we've got to demand more, we've got to expect more. And, I hear all the time, grown-ups were complaining about our generation when we were kids in school, but we tend to every generation. But I will tell you, Gen Alpha, anybody born between 2010 and 2025, they've got it hard. They had COVID in the middle of everything. They've had lots of disruption in their educational processes, but it's like this generation of all others, they got the screen really early. They didn't wait till 8, 9,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
10. They got
yeah,
it at 1 or 2. And
yeah.
I just want to say to anybody out there, I get it. It's like 30 minutes, give them the screen, but do not let them passively watch for hours on end, because research is showing passive screen time is creating a generation that will be 33% less cognitively agile than any generation previous. And so we've got to keep, now it changes if I'm watching a Mark Rober, say, Tom and Michael, if I'm watching an episode of something with you and I go, wow, how'd they do that? I wonder if we could do that experiment. That's
Yep.
crazy. Should we look that up? Is that true? Then it changes because we're having a conversation about it. And
Mhm.
so again, I'm not anti-tech, I'm not anti-gaming,
Right.
but it must be purposeful. And this generation is also 33% inclined not to be as active as their parents. They've had 95% of them want instant gratification. And that to me,
Yep.
this is the kicker for me. It has been shown that hands-on science, getting them to build, create, iterate, test, fail, redesign, actually helps build persistence and helps them delay that gratification and go, oh, there is a payoff if I'm persistent. And so for me, that's why I'm such a big advocate for getting kids hands on science. I mean, screen time has its place, but there are moments that they need to be thinking and creating with everything that's in the recycling bin.
Love that.
Okay.